Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, alongside my co-host, Jacob Boyers. Jake, the Cats have advanced past the first round of the SEC tournament, beating Louisiana State 87-82 in what was a very offensive-focused game for at least the first half. Kentucky got out to a nice start offensively, scoring 46 points in the first half. Really, it was a game where Cats got out to a 9-point lead there midway through the first half. Louisiana State came back, and it really just stayed around there the entire game. Kentucky kind of kept them at an arm's length, anywhere from 4 to 8 points for the majority of that second half. But here we are. We were scared about this game, potential trap game. I don't know if you can say a trap game with being the 9 and the 16 seeds. But here we are, Jay. We've got a chance to revenge our early season loss to Missouri tomorrow. What were you thinking about this LSU game?
Yeah, I think pretty similar to kind of how I thought it would go, maybe a little more high scoring, but, I thought it would be one of those games where Kentucky has some chances to kind of step on the gas and put it away. And, there's some moments LSU makes some plays and hangs around. I mean, don't forget LSU did take a lead in the second half. They were up one a couple different times. But then kind of similar to the South Carolina game, just a couple plays down the stretch and you get out of there with a win. And obviously this time of the year, wins are the only thing that matters. I don't think Kentucky was great by any stretch, especially defensively, but hey man, a win's a win. LSU is a team that we both felt like could beat Kentucky. You saw it earlier in the season. And at times in this one, this was very easily a game you could have lost, and they found a way to make enough plays down the stretch to get out of there with a win and get to play Missouri tomorrow.
Yeah, you spoke to it, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there. This isn't a traditional way I think you'd expect this Wildcats team to win. And when you get to March and you get to tournaments and one and dones like this, you have to find unconventional ways to win games and keep your season alive. In this game, they did exactly that. It's BG time.
just like we all predicted.
We all predicted giant Brandon Garrison game. I mean, let's start with him. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 2 of 3 from 3. I'm
He was excellent.
And we had been talking about he had been playing better as of late. This is the first time it kind of really showed up on the offensive side of the ball. But he's getting to the point now. I'm not saying I want this to be BG time.
Yep.
But I don't need his minutes being taken away either.
Yeah, and he's also doing a lot of the stuff that obviously earlier in the season we were so frustrated that he wasn't doing. I mean, his motor the whole time he was on the floor was running. That one where Colin had like the no-look pass to him, that was just him getting out, head down, running as fast as he can in transition. Like, that's not plays you typically see him make a lot. And defensively, I thought he was excellent too. He was probably one of your best defenders on the floor. And then I texted you right after. Both of those threes were just back-to-back. No. Yes, let's go. But yeah, I'm happy for him, man. He still missed that dunk that I don't understand how a guy his size misses dunks, but he made enough plays to make up for it. And this is what I'll remember as, the Brandon Garrison game. It'll be up there with kind of those weird one-off games, winning Gabriel making 7 threes against Alabama. Like, that's where this one will kind of sit. And it's a game you could not lose. And, Malachi, it wasn't obviously his best game. We'll talk about him a little later, but I thought BG did a really good job making up for that.
He really did, and you can't go a full game, even if BG's playing at his potential, without a Brandon Garrison type play. And that dunk just surfaced everything that you've ever seen.
He did get the rebound right off of it and got fouled, but
yeah, it's crazy. You see something like that, and you're like, I don't even know how this guy's on the floor. And then he splashes 2 threes. I mean, he was making some of those we were actually able to run the offense through him at the top of the key there for a while.
Yeah,
He
they
hit
did a lot.
Ortega on a backdoor cut, got an assist on that, and you mentioned how just active he was on the defensive side of the ball, getting his hands in passing lanes, blocked 2 shots, came up with 2 steals as well. When you're talking about getting something from Brandon Garrison, I don't think you can envision getting anything more than what you got from him in this game. And I think a lot of that shows to LSU's bigs. The LSU doesn't have great bigs, but you mentioned here, this is a game Malachi just struggled tremendously. 4 points, 3 rebounds, and only played 12 minutes, got himself
Early
in
foul
early foul
trouble.
trouble.
Yep.
Yeah. And really just never got into the groove of the game. And while we're talking about Malachi, because I'm going to talk about how he took a elbow right to the eye, and now he's probably going to have his second black eye of the season, which it's unfortunate for
On a
Malachi.
poster too, unfortunately.
He seems to always find himself with a black eye of some sort, and I want to talk about that play specifically because first off, nasty poster.
Yeah,
Give credit where
I felt
credit
bad for him there.
give credit where credit is due. But when you call a flagrant foul before the action of the shot, how does the shot count?
I don't know, man.
I still don't understand.
Some of the
I'm not going to
flagrants,
complain about officiating, but I just don't understand that from a basketball rules.
They got to do something with the flagrant fouls, man. It can't be just any, non-purposeful contact to the head and it's automatically a flagrant. I thought, it's the same kind of thing on the one with Mo on the other end, just a, flailing arm that just happened to catch somebody in the face. And then, I'm not going to complain about it because Kentucky got 2 free throws and obviously the ball after it. But, I think that's a college basketball issue bigger. But back to BG real quick before we move on from him as, somebody that's been as critical as probably anybody in the fan base of him. It was awesome to see, man. And I don't want to overshadow his great performance by saying, but like this is in part what makes it so frustrating with him is because these type of performances are there. And I think when me and you sit here and we come on and we talk about how disappointing he is, it's because you knew now 17 probably is a bit of a stretch, but that ability to have high energy and be kind of a, just different athlete and bring that level of intensity out there. It's in there, and he for a lot of the season hasn't done it. But to your point, the last 3 or 4 games, it's felt like he's played better, and then today was just kind of the tip of the iceberg for him. And I think it's I'm pretty happy he got that moment here, and as he finishes up his second season at Kentucky, it was cool to see him have that moment.
Yeah, and it's gotten me super excited. But also, you and I kind of know this. As soon as BG has one of these games, Thursday it's probably going to be the polar opposite, which is unfortunate. But that's kind of the situation we've come to with Brandon Garrison. And in this one, especially with BG in particular, his energy when he brings it is infectious. And when he gets things to start rolling his way, you see it goes into the entire team. You see Ortega hyping him up. You see Denzel getting into it with them. You see the amount of effort, energy, smiles, just team chemistry is almost all brought in together when Brandon Garrison is playing well and playing with that motor. And I'm not saying it takes this team from being, a round of 32 team to a Sweet 16 team, or if it has that big of a difference, but just having these guys all bought in together with a big who can run the floor, can, facilitate a little bit. It's not obviously to that Amari Williams level, but he at least can give you the added benefit of potentially running the offense through him at the top of the key because he's able to get to those back cuts. This is just something you need from Brandon Garrison if you actually want to make a deeper run in March and if you want to make a deeper run in this SEC tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that all the guys, feed off of him. They all love him. It's clear that Pope and the coaching staff loves him. Around kind of the team, he's definitely one of those infectious personalities that everybody likes to be a part of. And for him to have these type of performances where it really, gets to like encapsulate that. I mean, you're right. His energy was great. I thought it, to your point, it made Ortega, you know, it always kind of brings out the best in him. You saw Denzel getting happy and, you know, sticking his tongue out at people. By the way, one of the weakest technicals ever called.
Well, and I was talking about this before we started recording with someone else. If you remember that alley oop, I don't remember the name of the LSU player that called it. Alley oops, he dunks it over Ortega, looks at him, shoulder shrugs 2 or 3 times right in his face before he walks down.
And we get it for a tongue out.
There was nothing called, but Denzel goes with the tongue out, and all of a sudden it's just like, too much.
Even our D-list announcers, I guess that's part of being the Wednesday first 12:30 game is
you don't get the primetime guys out at Wednesday at noon.
But like even that guy, I don't know what he was talking about. He said like Denzel kept going at him, and it was pretty clear on the replay. He stuck his tongue out and then just turned his head, and the play-by-play guy's like, I didn't see him go back, and he's like, he must have said something. It's like, I think you're just probably justifying the ref a little bit, but pretty weak technical. But yeah, man, I mean, I guess getting into some of these other guys, I thought Ortega was great, especially early. I mean, I know you look at 8 of 19 or whatever he finished at, and like it's not some crazy great stat line. I thought there were 3 or 4 shots he got absolutely destroyed on that were no calls, especially early. It felt like he had like 3 drives in a row, and he even kind of turned to the ref and threw his arms up at one point. But like he finished one of them. I thought it probably should have been an and one. He got smoked on 2 others that they didn't call. But and then I think even he took kind of that mid-range jump shot there in the second half that maybe wasn't the best shot, but the guy fell right into him, and they just kind of let that go. So, I mean, it was 8 of 19, but I think if you call a handful of those fouls, we're probably talking about a much more efficient, 8 of 15 or something like that. So I thought Ortega was great, and clearly it was him and BG that kind of were the main factors of you getting to a win.
It was weird because early in the game, you mentioned some of those fouls they just were not calling. They were letting them play physical. And there was, right after you just mentioned the 3 drives that Ortega had, Colin had one where he got absolutely mauled down there going up for a layup. And he gets like thrown into Ortega, and they both look at each other and just like give a shoulder shrug like, I don't know what to do to get something called here either. But with Ortega, I'm not going to be mad with 8 of 19. Like, don't get me wrong, you mentioned that's not like a high percentage, and you'd like for him to shoot a little bit better of a percentage. But when he's adding 8 rebounds, 3 assists, getting you a steal, and playing with purpose on the defensive side of the ball, like there's a couple times, and I think we probably need to dive into it a little bit more. These guards were getting bullied on the defensive side of the ball. Like, just Colin, Denzel, Ortega. But he had spots, at least. With Colin and Denzel, it was just all game. They were going after the 2 of them. With Ortega, as long as the effort's there and it's not too many like Ortega times and too many contested mid-range pull-ups. Like I think he got bailed out at the end of the half with that pull-up that he had. I mean, really, other than that, and that pull-up 3-pointer he had early in the shot clock, I really can't find too much fault with any of the shots that he took. And when we weren't struggling to find offense, but when he is your go-to offensive guy, 19 shots, I'm not going to complain about it, especially if he's getting majority of them in the flow of the offense.
Yeah, you tell me he's going to play a similar game and have similar stat lines the rest of the season, I would sign up for that instantly. I thought, not by any stretch his best game. We've seen the games where he's like incredibly good, but I thought he was really, really good in this game, and a big factor into the win. And you mentioned it, like Denzel and Colin, they couldn't guard in this game. I don't know what's going on with Colin, both offensively and defensively. It's been tough. And then, Cam, I thought was pretty bad defensively, but you kind of expect that first game back, not even really practicing. Like he just looked a step slow in a lot of situations. So that's not anything like I really fault him for. But I think when you're talking about all 3 of those guys are kind of getting killed defensively, just Ortega kind of bringing that intensity on that side of the ball really, really made a a strong impact on the game.
Yeah, he did. I'm not going to say that's it for the positives and the guys who I thought played really well, because I thought there were spots for each player where they kind of showed the ability to get something going. Jake, you already you hinted at it a little bit before we started recording. I got to talk about my guy. I got to. I don't know
Get
what
your rant on so we can be positive. Come on.
I don't know what Yelovich has got to do to get more minutes. He comes out and scores 7 of the first 11 points for the team on 3 of 3 shooting. 2 of those are him getting downhill. One's him hitting a spot up 3. He's got 3 boards in 14 minutes. Gets you a block, offensive rebound in there as well. This game, I'm not going to complain about it too much because Brandon Garrison was playing at the level that he was, and we were really finding a role with BG, especially the energy he was bringing on the defensive side of the ball. But my God, if you're Andrea Yelovich, what do you think you need to do to play? After he scored 7 of those first 11 for the Cats, he played another 3 more minutes in that first half. What does he got to do?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I kind of say it every time. Like, yeah, I would like to see him more. It was very, but I think you kind of saw a very interesting lineup for him, and it was him and Mo together with Cam Williams. Like, they didn't.
It was for 45 seconds.
Yeah, they didn't run it very long, but I do like that lineup. So hopefully Pope saw something, or we'll see something on the game tape after the fact, and be willing to run that one out there a little more. It's tough because, like you said, BG was playing so well, you couldn't really take him off the floor. I thought, especially in the second half, Mo was really good. I mean, he had a handful of possessions in a row where he's going up, getting rebounds and putbacks, a couple and ones. I thought it was kind of the perfect Mo Diabate game and what you kind of hope and expect out of him. 7 boards as well. So, I do think, at least in the second half, the way the game was playing, how well both of those guys were playing, I can understand, Yelly not getting a ton of run there in the second half.
Yeah, I'll respectfully just disagree. I mean, I'm never going to get mad at Mohamed Diabate for the way he plays, because first off, it's going to look ugly. And if you're just watching the game, you're going to be almost disgusted with a lot of the things that he does, like his spinning runners that he's taking, that airballed 3 that he attempted.
Oh, yeah, that one was rough.
There's so many things that he does throughout the game that are just putrid to watch. But all of those things come together in him getting 6 defensive rebounds, getting an offensive rebound, adding 2 assists. I thought he played okay on the defensive side of the ball. Had 5, how he fouled out in 20-something minutes, I'm not sure. I don't even know.
I will say
the game wasn't being played
that last foul was bad. There was no reason to reach there.
Yeah, so. And I'm not. Again, this is one of the times where Yelovich played as good as he did, and I'm not going to beat on the table for him to be playing a lot more minutes just because the other guys did step up and perform. I mean, let's keep on with the bigs. We kind of mentioned Malachi. Do you think you think he's just hitting that freshman wall this late into the season? Because it does seem like over the past 2 to 3 weeks of basketball, we just haven't had that same impact that he had made on both sides of the floor.
Yeah, it could be. You see that a lot, I think, especially with big men kind of hitting that wall. I mean, Pope hasn't really mentioned it again. What was it, after the Auburn game? He said he was dealing with something, or maybe it was even a game after, because the Auburn game, he tweaked his ankle. So,
yeah, it was the game after. Yeah.
So the game after, Pope says he's kind of dealing with something. I don't know, man. Maybe he truly is battling through something. He doesn't look as comfortable as he did early in the year.
It looks like he's laboring to get up and down the court to me. I don't know if that's something you've noticed too. Everything just doesn't seem as fluid.
Maybe he is dealing with something, right? And it's tougher for him to move kind of the way he was earlier in the season. I don't know. I mean, I saw a handful of our fans kind of getting on him. I still think the kid's really good, but if you're telling me he's hitting like that freshman wall, I wouldn't think that that's like something crazy. And you know, I still think there's going to be a game, whether it's this SEC tournament or in the NCAA, like where we're going to have one of those kind of dominant Malachi performances where we're coming on here and we're talking about him almost in the way we're talking about BG today. But it obviously isn't as detrimental when you're getting these kind of games from BG. I mean, you need one of the two to play pretty well, I think, for this team to have a chance. And if it's a night-by-night thing, game-by-game thing where you don't really know which one of them is going to give it to you until you get out there, but as long as one of them can, then I'll take it.
Yeah, and if you're telling me I get, what is it? Garrison had 17, Diabate had 7, Yelovich had 7. You're telling me I get 35 points between the four of our bigs with what they were doing early in the season? I'm taking that. That's with Malachi only adding 4. So if you get 3 of those 4 guys to step up like they did in this game, you're A-okay.
You get that, the guards start to play the way we think they should, and they get near 60. Like, I mean, now you're kind of cooking.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk about these guards here now because we haven't gotten to them yet. 2 of 13 from 3 are starting 3 guards. And if you tell me that's what those 3 go from 3, I'm scared about whether we would have won or lost this game.
And you still scored 87.
Yeah, you still ended up scoring a lot of points. And it's especially more of a concern with Denzel and Colin, just the way they have been shooting the ball from deep as of late. Because it hasn't been just a one-off game here and there for both of them. It's been about a 2-week spell since they have gotten hot. And like at least with Collins today, and I'm going to be a lot more frustrated with Collins. I thought he was very bad in this game. But at least Collins are close currently. Like they're rimming in and out. Denzel's throwing some off the backboard. He's off the very front of the rim. They're not close right now. He got one to fall in this game. Ultimately shot 6 of 13. So I'm not too upset with the game in total that you got from Denzel. But when he added the negatives on the defensive side of the ball, the flagrant that we don't, or the technical that he got that we don't really agree with, obviously, I think you do need more from Denzel, especially when it comes to being a perimeter threat.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great finish on the one he got teed up on. But, yeah, I don't know why, man. I mean, I think this is something we kind of, like, we're holding our breath with Colin in particular because we've talked about his career here at Kentucky and we've talked how much he's been fairly inconsistent and he can go on these runs where he's a guy that, like, anytime he steps on the floor, you think he can drop 20 or go 6 of 8 from behind the arc and make all these great plays. And then you see moments where he looks scared. And I'm not saying he's looked scared over the past few weeks, but he should be your best perimeter defender. And, like, you've seen kind of glances at it here and there, but it's never been fully consistent. And then to have him back to where he just can't buy a shot from behind the arc, it's really making it tough. At least now you got Cam back, and I think that's a huge thing because I'll come back to Colin and Denzel, but I want to say about Cam, like the thing I think that makes him so valuable is you saw them not have to play Trent today, and you would just kind of assume he takes Trent's minutes. But where I thought he was most valuable is they were able to take guys like Ortega and Colin off the floor without having to put Jasper in. And it gives you, especially when Denzel's out there and you still got somebody to kind of run point, gives you another wing to where you don't have to go back to Jasper in these situations. But yeah, as far as the shooting with Denzel and Colin, I don't know what's going on. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that at one of these games here in the SEC, they get hot and they can carry that over into the big tournament.
All right, Jake, which one do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the level of flexibility that having Cam Williams back and being able to play 17 minutes gives you? Or do you want me to keep going on Colin and Denzel's outside shooting? You pick a lane, I'm going down it. Which one? Feed me the rock.
I mean, if you want to touch a little more on Denzel and Colin, because I've kind of said all I can say there. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, just looking back at their last three games, Denzel against Florida was 1 of 6 from three. Denzel against Texas A&M, he's actually 0 of 3 in that one. And then we already mentioned here in this game, he was 1 for 5.
Yep.
So you're looking at him being 2 for his last 14 over the last three. Colin goes 1 of 5 in this one. Went 1 of 5 against
I feel like he's
A&M,
been 1 of 5 over the last 10 games.
and then 0 and 3 from Florida. So he's 2 of his last 13. So you got two guys, your best two perimeter threats over the last three. We're shooting 2 of 13 from three and 2 of 14. And they're averaging about 5 attempts per game.
Yep.
From beyond the arc. And that's with adding 0 benefits on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what happened to the. Do you remember before Arkansas last season? Colin Chandler was our lockdown perimeter threat.
Yeah, that's what I'm
when
saying.
It comes to on the defensive side of the ball. And right now, it's almost like he's almost unplayable on that side. And you hear that when we talk about anytime I hear somebody talking about Andrea Jelovic, it's, we can't play him because of his defense. Or same thing with Jasper Johnson.
I got
It's
more
not as bad as
Jasper, but I'm with you.
It's not as bad as Jasper, but it's pretty close, man. And he's got to get hot against Missouri. We got to flip that switch. I've mentioned it before. He's like Jay Bruce. This guy's hot for a month, and then he's one of the worst players on the planet for a month. And right now, we're just in one of those stretches where he's not shooting the ball well, and unfortunately, the confidence level is lacking on the defensive side too. Hopefully, him and Colin can kind of turn that switch against Missouri, because we desperately need those guards, because we talked about it all season, really. You needed minimum 60 points from those three to feel good. You haven't been getting anything near that as of late. And that's a lot of the reason coming into this. Coming into this game, we were 2 of our last 5?
Yep.
We were 2 and 5 in our last 7 games. So a lot of that is because the guards have struggled since they went on that magical run there when we won 8 of 9. Streaky team. We know that, been well documented. Take it away, Jake.
Yeah, Pope's talked about how you can point to turnovers and almost tell if this team wins or lose. I'm not going to say you can't win when 2 of them aren't playing well, because you obviously saw today that you can. But I think you can almost look at it and say if 2 of those 3 guys play well, Kentucky's winning the game. Really,
I think you still need one bench guy to kind of have that Brandon Garrison game. I still think you need that one wild card to not necessarily give you 17, but I think you got to have one of those bench guys give you a 10 plus.
Yeah, and I think between everybody, you're going to fall into somebody kind of doing that, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you can have 2 of those 3, whether it's Ortega has an off night and Denzel and Colin have their best shooting nights, or just one of them there with Ortega, I think you can almost look at that and say, that's how this team wins. And that was what gave us so much, not excitement, but the slight optimism we had going into, the tournament, is that, these guards are so good that if we can get those type of performances from them, we can beat just about anybody. That also, I think, kind of gets helped out slightly, not completely, because the guy hasn't played in, almost 2 months, but back to the versatility of having Cam back. It's, if you can get him to go out there and go 2 of 5 or, 3 of 6 or something like that on those nights when Colin and Denzel don't have it, it's obviously just another weapon. And I thought for him to play 17 minutes today was a huge positive. Whether, again, how bad he was defensively, I think it was just because the guy hasn't ran full speed and up to a week ago, and even then
he just started his full contact practice a week and a half ago was his first full contact.
Said today after the game he really hasn't done a full practice with the team, in part because kind of when he was back they were taking slight days off getting ready to rest to potentially play 5 or whatever. So, I mean, he pretty much said, like, we told Cam, just go out there and we'll see what happens. Like, you just try to figure it out. But I thought he looked really comfortable, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And again, defensively, I think there were just a couple times where he kind of got beat and he just looked half a step slow. Like, that's stuff that I think will, as he gets his feet under him and gets back into game speed, he'll be fine with. But knock down the three. It's going to take him some time to get back into it, but I want to see him get back to kind of that what we saw right before he got hurt, where he was a guy that was willing to take some more shots, absurd himself into the offense a little more by driving the basketball and shooting it. So the fact you get him back, the fact that I think he looks so good offensively today, it can definitely kind of cover up some of those holes where Colin and Denzel aren't playing their best. I don't think obviously you're going to beat a Florida or even an Arkansas, with those kind of performances from Colin and Denzel. Like, they still have to be really good, but I think you're going to be able to survive some minutes here and there when they're not playing the best. And again, back to my point of when you take Ortega or Colin out, you don't have to go to Jasper for 10 to 12 minutes a game. You can essentially exclusively use Jasper when Denzel's not on the floor.
Perfectly said. And that's why I brought up the versatility that Cam brings you when he comes back, because not that you want Cam playing, a lot of minutes at the 2 or a ton of minutes as your primary 4, but he also has that ability to give you a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. Say Colin is having a relatively poor game like he has the past couple. We're now not at the point where Colin has to play 35 minutes a game with Cam coming back. Now, if he's hot, let him roll and let him play 35 minutes. But with that addition of having Cam back on the floor, it opens up a lot of other things. And you add just another shooter out there. You mentioned that lineup that I texted you, and I was like, dude, I love this lineup. And I was like, oh, wait, I see Jasper. Like, switch Jasper for Denzel, and I'm all in there for it. But you can play the matchup game a lot better now. And it felt like, we had this versatile chess piece there while we went on that run there. Obviously, we won 8 of 9. Cam gets hurt, and you see what happened. I mean, went on a bad stretch. We looked like a bad team there for 4 weeks. When you're going 2-5, you don't look good. You play yourself out of talking about possibly the 1 seed in the SEC taking on Florida at their place. All of a sudden, now you're the 9 seed, and having Cam back, I think, just allows you to just be a lot more versatile. If Colin's not playing well, even if it's Denzel's not playing well, you can let Ortega try and run some of the point and just run with him at the 3. There's so many different ways you can kind of allow yourself to pick up the pieces if things don't go well. And I think having Cam Williams, that's the thing that he brings to his team the most.
Yeah, and I think that was obviously what we talked about so much when he first got hurt, right? Was just when we were talking, like, who's going to kind of fill this role of Cam? And it was really, well, there's nobody that can, because Trent really can't go play the 4, if Trent kind of
Trent just can't play.
Yeah, and and you pretty much got in these situations where if Colin or Ortega needed to come out, like, you either had to try to go Trent or Jasper with Denzel, right? And it's like now Cam is by far the most versatile player on this team. He's an athlete. He can shoot the ball. He's a decent defender as he kind of gets ramped back up to game speed. But, like, to your point, you can play him on the wing. There's stretches where you can play him at the 4. I don't think, that's his natural role or what he needs to be playing the vast majority of his minutes. But there's stretches, let's say there's a game, you're down 8 with a minute 10 left and you're like, we need points. Like, you can run 3 shooters, Cam and, Malachi or Yelovich, whatever kind of you want to fit there to try to create some quick offense. Like, I think he gives you so much, whether whatever role it's in. And it feels like we've said, like, he feels and looks the most comfortable at the 3. So, like, that's where I want to see him the vast majority of times. But just to kind of have that extra level and area to kind of plug and play him where you need to, I think is huge for this team. And, I think that's why we talked about his injury was so big when it happened. And you really kind of saw it over the last 2 months or whatever it was that he was out.
They were out 5-6 once he went out with his broken foot. So his importance speaks volumes to the record that they went over the past 11 when he broke his foot against Texas. I'm excited, Jake. Obviously, LSU, not a good basketball team. They were 3-15 in the conference for a reason. You managed to just barely, outlast them. You only beat them by 5. Do you want to talk about your guy, Jasper Johnson, or would you like to just go ahead and move on to the matchup tomorrow against Missouri?
Yeah, Jasper played under 3 minutes in this game. I don't mean to keep being mean to him. I think that's kind of, especially now that Cam Williams is back, that's the perfect role. Get him 3 minutes when Denzel needs a breather or whatever the case may be. That is kind of what it is. So, yeah, let's talk about our rematch.
If you remember correctly, this Missouri game was so frustrating early in the season, and it was one that we were sort of coming off of that high of, beating St. John's. You had beat Bellarmine. You had just lost to Bama. So it was like, okay, how good is this team? Quaintance was fully healthy at the time. We're trying to figure out how good they are. And they pissed this game down their leg.
Yep.
Quaintance was almost a non-factor. You're obviously not going to have him in this one. Yeah. This was, if you remember correctly, this was during the no-effort Mohamed Diabate period. This was
he got benched the game
before.
After.
Yeah, 2 games after. It was that LSU game that he got benched. So he had one more after this.
LSU was the next game.
LSU was the first game that Yelovich got to start.
Yeah, it was right after Missouri because Missouri put us 0-2 in the conference, and we were staring at 0-3.
Yeah, but we beat Mississippi State after Missouri.
Oh, okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
All right.
But
hand up.
Either
hand
way,
up.
the point remains, though. This is, when you're looking at this game, and this is kind of, if you remember why I told you, I think if they beat LSU, I'm less worried about Missouri than I am LSU. Like, if they get to this game. And now that I say that, it's probably going to go the exact opposite.
We're going to get ran.
Yeah, we're probably going to get ran off the floor tomorrow that I'm saying this. But Ortega played well for you in that game. Malachi had played well for you in the game against Missouri. Not a single other person played well. They only hit 7 threes.
And you were up, 6 with like a minute and a half to go or something?
All of these auxiliary stats of the first game where you lost 73-68. First off, you only scored 68 points. There's problem number 1. They had 13 turnovers. They ended up making 7 threes, only made 22 field goals the entire game. Played horrendous in this game. Terrible down the stretch. This was one where you and I were questioning what Mark Pope was thinking and what he was doing with some of the lineups he was running out there.
He took the air out of the ball. I remember that.
Colin played 5 minutes in this game, and you still lost by 5.
You were up 6.
And you should have won this game, and it shouldn't have been close. I hate to say this because, especially with this team, it doesn't make sense to say this. I'm very hesitant to find a way they lose this one. I don't see it. I don't think.
I can tell. Just go back and watch.
Yeah, shut up.
All right, no, I'm sorry.
You hear me? This is all positivity here.
Yeah.
This is March. You said don't let them take your joy, BBN.
I did.
I'm a part of that. Don't take my joy here. I'm going to tell you why Cats are going to win this game. First off, Missouri is not a good team. Let's just say it how it is. They're a mid-team.
Yeah.
Going to make the tournament. This team is better than they were that first time they ran into them. And they still should have won that game the first time they played them. This team's found a little continuity. They found ways to put themselves in good situations to win games. Now, some of those times they haven't won them, so that's a little bit of pause for concern. I'm all in on the Cats for this one. I'm not sure if I felt more confident about a Kentucky game over the last 2 months than I have about what I think Kentucky's going to do on Thursday afternoon against Missouri.
Yeah, I think Kentucky wins, but I do think it's while I'm sitting here and I pulled it up, I looked at it, so now I have to tell you so that you can be equally as frustrated and reminiscing this Missouri
I don't
game
want to. I
remember and just how bad it was. Otega Owe hit a three with 4 minutes to go in the second half to make the game 66-58. Over that next 4 minutes and 17 seconds, you scored 2 points.
Yep.
Now, I do agree with you. This team is better than they were at that time. Those stretches seem fewer and far between. I mean, there are still some moments here and there where we can.
Yeah, I know. We did just have A&M.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know. We know how I feel about that. I mean, you put 4 of your worst players on the floor together, and we're throwing your hands up as to why they couldn't score the basketball. Anyway. Not to dwell on it. Like this team is better. Today, I actually thought every lineup you put out there was a good lineup. And maybe that's just like the perk of having Cam Williams back. But when you tell me Jasper and Trent Noah are going to combine to play 2 minutes and 50 seconds, like, no offense to those guys, I'm all for it. I'm signing up for it. And I think you put guys on the floor that can make plays and positively impact the basketball game instead of the opposite. So I agree with you. Kentucky's better. I think they win. I'm not going to say I don't see a world where they lose because we've seen this team be really, really bad at times and go through stretches. But I feel pretty confident about the game tomorrow, and maybe because I feel confident and you feel confident, I should be scared as hell.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I feel good about it now. Friday, that's a different situation, but let's just win tomorrow and we can talk about that.
Yeah, Missouri over their last 2 played Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Lost them both, right?
They lost to Oklahoma by 16. Who was what? They got the 15 seed, correct, Jake? That's or 14. They're 14 or 15. I can't remember if they finished above South Carolina or not.
I think they're above Ole Miss, right? I don't know. It's
either way.
Four really bad teams at the bottom of this conference.
One of the worst teams in the conference, and they lost to them on the road. And then they come back. They have their home game, senior day, against Arkansas without Darius Acuff, and they still lose. And when you're taking away one of the best players in the country and you still lose to Arkansas, who was led by Malik Thomas in that game, I'm not going to say they're scuffling because I don't think they're scuffling. I think this is kind of just the team that they are.
Yeah.
I just don't think Missouri is a very good basketball team. And again, I am not sure we're a great basketball team either. But with what we had early in the season, seeing how many things had to go right for Missouri down the stretch, how many things had to go wrong for the Cats down the stretch for you to lose that game.
Yep.
I got a lot of faith in the Cats for this one. And I'm probably going to regret this all Thursday at about 2:30 or 3 o'clock if they end up losing this. But I feel very confident in what I think these Cats are going to do because I think they showed up against LSU with a enthusiasm and passion to play this game that I necessarily wasn't expecting. This is a team that kind of goes through spells of effort concerns and you don't know who's showing up game in and game out. And let's just hope that since Yelovich said fatigue's not an issue and these guys are just selfish, maybe that was the wake-up call everybody needed. And now nobody's going to act fatigued. We're all good. You play Missouri, you beat Missouri, and now we're talking about firmly being that 6th seed in the NCAA tournament if you win both of these games?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you find a way to win tomorrow, I think probably not guaranteed a 6, but probably right there. A lot of these other teams are losing as well. This is one I want to see. I want to see Ortega come out tomorrow and, be a dog, but more so on the defensive side of the basketball. I want him to want to guard Mark Mitchell and do everything he can to kind of make his life as tough as possible, especially with what you've seen from Denzel and Colin over the last few. Like, you need someone to kind of step up and want to take that primary, role defensively, and I hope that that's Ortega. But when you talk about ways we lose, like, I could see that, like, if Mitchell goes for 25 or something and you let a couple other guys get hot, like, Kentucky can lose this game, but I think they're going to win. And if you're ready, I got a score for you.
Just want to correct some things. I just looked at the bracket, and Oklahoma somehow became the 11th seed. I don't know when they jumped
Oklahoma.
Up. Shout out Oklahoma.
Texas. Yeah, they beat Texas at the end.
That last game shot them up there. Currently, CBS has us listed as a 7 seed. This was today before any of those games were being played. Yeah. And then Lenardi's latest had us as a 7 as well. So I think if you get both of these wins, and I don't think they're going to penalize you for losing against Florida.
If we beat Florida, are we talking a 5 even?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, maybe
there's too many bad losses.
Flirting with a 5, like,
I don't think
we pull up next to the 5 at the bar, and we're just spitting a little game.
I don't think there's anything this team can do to get to a 5. I really don't. I think even if they won this SEC tournament, they're not getting a 5. I think they're tapped out at the 6 because it's been proven.
I think if you make it to Sunday, you're a 5.
It's been proven. Sunday of the SEC tournament does not matter.
Sunday wouldn't matter, but I think if you get to Sunday, that means you beat Florida, and then you follow it up with either Vandy or Tennessee. I think you're there.
I don't think they're getting a 5, Jake. I hate to burst your bubble because I've been the one that's been the positive one over here. So I hate to come in with the negative town at the end of it.
I mean, I don't know why we're really talking about it. I mean, there's
a lot of things that we have to do before we get
Let's just beat Missouri tomorrow and go from there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and handle the Tigers. But hit me with your score prediction because I think you might have a closer game prediction than I will.
Yeah, I think it's going to be higher scoring than the first time around. I don't think that's a big
I hope so.
Surprise.
That was a brutal game to watch.
We're going to get out of the 60s in this one. I think it's a close one kind of throughout. Kentucky, again, makes a handful of plays over the last 4 minutes, kind of executes in the way that we did not in Rupp Arena and avenge that loss. I'll go Cats 83, Missouri 76.
83-76. So you still got a 7-point win in there.
That might be the exact. Now that I think about it, that might be the exact score I picked for LSU.
It might be.
We're running it back. It weren't. Run it back.
I'm not going to run it back because I told you what I thought if Kentucky was to beat LSU. I'm sticking to my guns on that one. I got the Cats winning. And the fact that they shot so poorly from 3 in this game against LSU, and they were still able to score in the 80s.
Yep.
Jay, give me the Cats getting into the 90s.
I like it. Let's go.
I think they get
there.
hot.
I think you win easily.
I think they get hot. I think we were starting to talk about Colin and Denzel finding their stroke. You see some good open attempts in transition. Today there was a lot of open threes to be had. There just wasn't the couple extra passes made. For as much as we praised BG and how well he played, there was a couple of BG moments in there where you're just like, dude, one more extra pass, and we've got Denzel for an open three.
Happening whether you want it or not, man. It's kind of like this roller coaster of a season. You just strap yourself in and you hop on the ride, and you hope it's a good one.
And well, we're in the thick of that roller coaster ride. But I got the Cats getting. I'm gonna say it's just barely in the 90s, in the 90s. I'm gonna say they go 90. I'm gonna say 90 to 79, a double-digit win for these Cats. I think they find a way to turn it up a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. The thing I'm really interested to see, and one thing that could kind of change that prediction, is when Cam Williams wakes up in the morning. How does that
he
foot feel
Yeah.
after playing 17 minutes? Because I think if you would have asked Mark Pope and this staff how many minutes does Cam play, I don't think they would have said a number as high as 17. I think they probably would have liked to have gotten him around 10 just to see how he feels, especially when you're talking about your first game since January 21st. 17 minutes, playing the next day, playing in 24 hours. How does he wake up feeling? How does that foot feel in the morning? It's not something we're going to know until, maybe an hour and a half before the game tomorrow. I'm hoping he's good to go, but is there anything that could sway you off of your decision point going forward, or any last things you want to touch on before the Cats tip it off again in Nashville?
No, like I said, I would love to see Ortega take the, assignment of Mark Mitchell.
Yep.
That's really kind of it. I'm both of us being this confident about this game.
Never works.
It hasn't bowled well in any sport in the 2 years that we've done this podcast now. So
I will say it doesn't happen as often anymore. I couldn't tell you the last game we actually predicted the same thing on. It's been a while. We've been fading each other.
It might have been back in football, but you know what?
It might have been. It was probably that Georgia game at home was probably the last game we both picked to win. If I had to guess, that would probably be the last time we were on the same side in the predictions category. Let's hope it goes nothing like that Georgia game. Let's hope these Cats are going to be playing the Florida Gators on Friday. Because Jake, you remember what I said on Monday? Did. I think if the Cats get past LSU, they find a way to be playing on Saturday. And that's where we're going to leave you at, Big Blue Nation. Make sure you follow the Cats Talk podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or anywhere and everywhere you get your podcast in. Win or lose tomorrow, Jake and I will be here on Thursday night to get you guys a podcast. So make sure you're following along. And hopefully these Cats can find a way to try and play Florida on Friday. Go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.